I'll never forget the moment she pointed a gun at my daughter, right there in broad daylight in front of my house, screaming that we were criminals while neighbors filmed and sirens wailed. And just when I thought it was over for us, my daughter pulled out her FBI badge and the entire neighborhood froze. Act 1. The Spark. My name's Nathan Cooper, middle-aged widower just trying to start fresh in a quiet little community called Willowbrook. After my wife Emily passed, I thought a new neighborhood might help me heal. On my very first morning, I set up a memorial bench for Emily under the big oak tree in my front yard. Brass plaque shining in the sun, her name etched forever. It was supposed to be peaceful, my way of keeping her close. That's when I heard heels clicking like gunshots on pavement. Here comes Brenda Hutchinson, HOA president, 60-ish power suit, too tight clipboard clutched like a sword. "Mr. Cooper," she said, fake sweet, "I'm afraid we have a problem." She didn't even wait for me to answer. Scribbled something on her clipboard, tore it off, and shoved a citation in my hand. "Your bench violates Rule 47B. Yard modifications must be pre-approved. That's a $50 fine. $50 for a bench." I almost laughed. But then, she pulled out another document, already filled out, dated yesterday. Foreclosure paperwork. 15 fake violations, wrong grass type, mailbox height, even excessive bird attraction. Total fines, $8,500. I stared at it. "This is dated before you even talked to me," I said. Her smile didn't budge. "Administrative efficiency," she chirped, then leaned closer. "You've got 72 hours to remove that bench, or you'll lose your house." And with that, she click-clacked away like she owned the street. I stood there holding papers that basically said my fresh start was already over. But 30 years in graphic design taught me one thing: document everything. So I snapped photos every page. If Brenda wanted a fight, she'd pick the wrong grieving widower. Act 2. Escalation and doubt. I spent that afternoon digging through HOA laws. Guess what? Rule 47B didn't even exist. The bylaws stopped at 42. Brenda had made it up out of thin air. And that foreclosure company at the bottom of the page, BH Property Management, registered to a P.O. box. No office, no website, just Brenda listed as sole proprietor. Classic shell company. I'd built enough sketchy websites in my career to recognize one. Then I ran into Walter Chin, the HOA's accountant, sitting in his car at the county clerk's office. He looked like a kid caught stealing candy. "She's making up rules, isn't she?" I asked, holding up the bylaws. Walter went pale. "You don't understand. She's got dirt on all of us. I cook the books or she ruins me. Get out while you can before you end up on the Phase 3 list." Phase 3. He peeled out before I could ask, but that phrase stuck with me like a splinter. Back home, I kept digging. Hacked into Brenda's emails with a spoofed HOA newsletter. Not my proudest moment, but hey, she was threatening to steal my home over a bench. Password was, "Hey Queen 2015, real criminal mastermind." And what I found chilled me. An email. "Cooper House priority target. Begin standard 72-hour protocol. Phase 3, list attached." Attached were plans to demolish my home and turn it into a parking lot. And the project name. The Emily Project. My dead wife's name, right there in black and white. For the first time, I felt my knees buckle. Was this connected to Emily's death? Had I missed the signs all along? I sat at my kitchen table, papers spread everywhere, hands shaking. Part of me wanted to give up, pull the bench out pack, my things disappear before Brenda swallowed me whole. But then I thought about Emily, her laugh, her stubborn streak, how she'd tell me every garden needs a place to sit and think. No, she deserved better. I deserved better. That's when I called Sophie, my daughter. She'd always been vague about her government job, something in law enforcement. "Dad," she said slowly, after I explained, "don't touch anything else. Don't use your credit cards. Pack a bag. I'm bringing my team tonight." "Your team." Silence. Then, "Dad, I'm FBI. And this isn't just HOA nonsense. Brenda's part of something bigger, much bigger." Act 3. The showdown. That night, Sophie showed up with 3 agents, all in plain clothes. She looked like any 20-something in jeans and a sweatshirt, except for the way the agents followed her lead. my quiet kid suddenly in command. We waited, letting Brenda stew across the street. Sure enough, she started pacing, peeking through her curtains. Then she stormed out. Bathrobe over slacks, hair, wild gun waving in her hand. "Get off my street," she screamed. "You ruined everything. You think I'll let you take this from me?" Neighbors poured out with phones recording, sirens in the distance. I raised my hands, tried to calm her down. "Brenda, nobody's here to hurt you. Put the gun down." She spun toward me, finger twitching on the trigger. Then she swung it toward Sophie. "First your wife with her stupid questions." Brenda spat mascara streaking down her face. "Now you. You think you're clever. You think you can stop me." Police pulled up Officer Martinez, stepping out, hand on his holster. "Ma'am, put the weapon down." Brenda waved the gun harder. "Arrest them. They're criminals." And then Sophie sighed like she'd been through this exact scene before. Slowly she pulled out her wallet, flipped it open. "Special Agent Sophia Cooper, FBI Tactical Response Unit," she announced loud enough for every camera to hear. Martinez's eyes went wide. His hand dropped from his gun. The whole street went dead silent. Brenda's gun slipped from her hand, clattering to the pavement. She dropped to her knees, sobbing, muttering, "No, no, you're just his daughter. You're nobody." Agents swarmed, cuffing her, reading her rights. But Brenda wasn't done. Even as they dragged her away, she sneered, "You think you've won? I'm middle management. The architect knows everything. Phoenix always rises." And then she was gone, shoved into the back of a federal car, neighbors buzzing, yellow tape going up. I stood on my lawn, staring at Emily's bench brass plaque glinting under the streetlight. The fight wasn't over, not by a long shot. There was still this architect Brenda had screamed about, still shadows behind her power. But that night at least I held my ground. I kept my home. And I knew one thing for sure: never underestimate the chaos a power-hungry HOA president can unleash.